you got to do. Alright, number 3, on the grid below, draw the 3 figures described in the following steps. Alright, step 1 says draw a 2 by 4 rectangle and label it step 1. This is worth 1 point. Alright, in class we talked about how you always want to talk about the x before the y. In other words, if we say 2 by 4, what we mean is 2 wide, 4 tall. However, that really doesn't matter, because if we draw a shape that's 2 wide and 4 tall, and let's say it was a piece of paper, a box, you could always go over and kick it and it would turn on its side. It would still be the same shape. So it really, in real life, this really doesn't matter when you're talking about 2 dimensions. But let's just stick to what we said in class. Since we'll do the x first, we'll say it's 2 wide and 4 tall. So we're going to make that shape down here. Alright, so I drew the shape down here. It's 2 wide, 4 tall, but we're not done yet. It said label it step 1. Alright, step 2 says draw a rectangle that is an enlargement, so it basically says make bigger, of the rectangle you drew in step 1. Label it step 2. Now, it doesn't say similar enlargement, so you can do anything you want that makes the shape bigger. But I would suggest, why not make life easier on yourself and create an easy, simple enlargement. In other words, maybe something like 2x, 2y. So we're just going to double the width and double the height. That's what I'm going to do for this particular one. Again, though, there's many different answers. All you got to do is make it bigger. Alright, so again, I did my 2x, 2y, so I made it twice as wide, twice as tall, and it's definitely an enlargement of the one that I drew in step 1. We're not done, though. It says label it step 2. Alright, step 3 says draw a rectangle that is a reduction of the rectangle you drew in step 1. Be very careful to read the directions here to see what they're referring to. They don't want you to reduce this shape here. They want you to reduce the first one, so we got to make something smaller. Now, the only way to make it smaller is to apply a rule that has decimals or fractions. Again, that's your preference as to what you like to use. They're the same thing. I just think the fractions are easier to work with when you're multiplying. So I'm going to use the rule 1/2 x, 1/2 y to make the smaller shape off of this one. So if I have this is 2 wide, and I'm going to use 1/2 x, 1/2 y, the new shape's going to be half as wide, half as tall. So it's going to look like this down here. Again, this was 2 wide, so this is only 1 wide. This was 4 tall, so this ends up being 2 tall. But we're not done. Look up here again for the directions. It says label it step 3, and that's also worth 1 point, so we have to label it as well. Alright, now we're on step 4. It says draw a rectangle that is not an enlargement. That should actually say nor a reduction of the rectangle you drew in step 1. So step 1, we want to draw something over here that's not an enlargement, so it's not bigger, nor is it a reduction, so it's not smaller. So obviously we have to make it the same size. It's going to be the exact same size. Alright, so as you can see here, same shape. It's not bigger, so it's not an enlargement. It's not smaller, it's not a reduction. It's the same size. Again, though, we're not done. It says label it step 4, so we got to put the label down there. Alright, so we have all 4 of our shapes. We followed all the directions, and there's questions below that we have to answer. This is an open-ended question, so that means that there is more than one correct answer. There are other possibilities, as I explained up here. We could have had the shape laying on its side. This shape right here did not have to be this. It could have been 3x, 3y, and been much taller. It could have been 2.5x, 2.5y. Especially since you're not doing this on a computer, you'll be shading in with a pencil. You can split blocks in half if need be. So there's many different answers. I'm just suggesting take the easiest possible route and apply very easy rules. We did 2x, 2y to create this shape. We did 1/2 x, 1/2 y to create this shape from there. And obviously this is going to be the same. The rule for that would be xy. Now we already discussed what some of the questions below are going to ask us, but we'll go over them again. Alright, it says explain your reasoning for the figure you drew in step 2. Alright, your answers here do not have to match exactly with what I'm saying. As long as everything you're telling me makes sense and you include everything that you need to, you're fine. So one reasoning could be, I applied the rule 2x 2y to the original figure. Another possibility, you could say I used a scale, or you could say I applied, actually that'd be better. I applied a scale factor of 2 to the original figure. Okay, and you could say it in words if you wanted to. The key is to get something in there about that or the actual rule itself. I used a rule 2x, 2y. Okay? Those are the things that they're looking for. 2 points here. Alright, here it says explain your reasoning for the figure you drew in step 3. Alright, so step 3, we drew a smaller figure, and as I said up there, what I did is I applied the rule. Now, instead of just typing, it's easier to type decimals, but again, I like to see 1/2 x, but it's the same exact thing as what I'm typing here. 0.5 and 1/2 are the same thing. So I apply the rule 0.5x, 0.5y, or 1/2 x, 1/2 y to the original figure. Okay? Alright, again, this you don't have to write it exactly the same way, as long as you get your point across and it makes sense. Alright, now we're ready to move on